Maybe that's a good thing if it doesn't go. Yeah. My specialties are teenagers, especially middle schoolers. Yeah, I hear you. I love them. Everybody else is like, oh. And grief. Those are my two specialties. We are also missionaries with One Challenge International. So that's a little about me. My husband is a pastor's coach all over the world and loves what he does. So we're loving being here. So I thought today that we would think about Matthew 13, verses 3 really through 29, but we're not going to go that far. But my dad was a farmer, and so anything having to do with farming, speaks to me. And the parable of the seeds has always been one of my favorite. So I'd like to look at that today. Jesus is an amazing storyteller, isn't he? He realized that stories last in our minds. And he actually told parables. Now, if you've never thought about what a parable is, it's some people say it's a earthly story with a heavenly meaning. I like that. It's memorable is why he told them, but it has a meaning that a lot of the people that were not for him couldn't get. So he tells this parable, and he issues an interesting edict that he does 9 times in Matthew. He says, "He who has ears, let them hear." Interesting. So here's the way the parable goes. There's a farmer, or you can say a sower, going out to his field in the morning to work his field. Now, as a sidelight, farming was a very well-known occupation then. A field of land was given to you by the government. It was not separated from my field by a fence or rock. It was separated by a path. So the farmers all went to the village or the town at night because it's safer. And then in the morning, they would stop by Starbucks and then head on out to the field. Oh, wrong era. And then they would farm their fields. So farmers really knew what Jesus was talking about. So the farmers are heading out to the field to sow some seed. Now, there's a very short growing season in Israel. For those of you that have been there, it only rains. No, it doesn't rain from May to October. So you have to be very careful when the rain comes to get that seed in the ground when you need to. So the farmer's walking out to the field, and he is sowing seed. And some of the seed, janitor's going to kill me. Some of the seed falls on hard ground. And immediately the birds swoop in and pick it up because it can't germinate. Some of the seed falls on, remember the next kind? Rocky. And that's about all we have in Colorado. And I know you have a lot of that here. And those of you that have been in the Holy Land, I was shocked by how rocky the Holy Land is. Now, some of that's good because it holds in moisture. And they don't take rocks out of their field the way we do here. Oh, very good. Thank you. Sure. No, you can hold the seed. You can go and throw it like wedding flowers. Yes. So it fell on rocky soil, and rocky soil tends to be very shallow, and seeds will germinate, but Jesus said they came up, and the sun immediately came in and wiped them out. Third kind of soil, thorny. If you've seen the thorns in the Holy Land, that's what they pressed into Jesus' brow. They're awful. So, thorny soil is the thorns come up and choke out what's growing except for themselves. And finally, he gets some good soil, and it springs up. You remember the numbers? I wonder why Jesus chose these numbers. 30, 60, you would think 90 would be next, but he obviously couldn't multiply. So 100. 30, 60, or 100 times what was planted. And here's the disciples listening to Jesus intently, and they say, "We don't get it." And Jesus wept. Oh, that's another chapter too, isn't it? Please explain to us why you speak in parables. And he said, because those who would hear, and those who would see. But those that don't want to do that aren't going to understand. So he knew his ministry was short, and he was smart. He wasn't going to peeve off all of the people that didn't want him there. I said, "Tell us what it means." And he says, "Well, seed that planted, fell on hard ground. Satan comes in, swoops it up. They didn't have a chance to understand or grow because it took off with it. The ground was rocky. It may have germinated and came up. But again, the sun was too hot, and the seeds died. And that's what happens with people that receive the Lord with joy. But then problems happen, and maybe persecution, and it's not deep enough to withstand it. Thistles. The seed that landed on thistly soil got to germinate, but then all the worries of the world come in and strangle it. And honestly, the seed that planted on good soil is you, when you take Jesus into your heart and share it and believe it. I'm sure you understand that when you read something in the Bible, when you get to be our age, God often will show you something that you've never seen before. I see a lot of you shaking your head. He did that with me with this. You know what I did not realize? The sower is spreading seed as he's walking to his field. Why would he waste the seed on the hard and the rocky and the thistly soil? Because he doesn't give up on us. We were all hard, rocky, thistly soil before we met Jesus. I had missed that. Fascinating. So, what does that mean for us? I always thought this was a passage having to do with evangelism. Just know that when you sow seeds, you're going to get different reactions. And who is the sower? I always thought it was us. The sower is probably Jesus. He's sowing the seed. And as I said, he doesn't give up on us. And I often wonder why people don't accept Jesus. What's wrong with their hearts? I'm really glad my heart's not hard anymore. I am having a hard time forgiving this one guy that thinks women are second-class citizens, and I just can't stand to be around him, and maybe I'll work on that. But I don't consider my heart hard soil, nor do I consider it rocky. Now, I'm really a busy person, and I don't always have time for Bible study or prayer or fellowship with others, but I'm sure God understands. Yeah. And my soil contains no thistles. I did think yesterday after I left HEB, will I ever be able to afford a steak again? And I think, when will I have time to do taxes? And what body part on me is going to wear out next? And my grandkids don't know how to say thank you or even hello because their noses are glued to those silly phones. What are you worried about? I think my heart needs some that word. Thank you, cultivation. And it needs some weed pulling and it needs some water. I would challenge you to look at yours, and she who has ears, let her hear.
Sharon, thank you.